How many times have you heard someone say, I would love to go, but I don't have anyone to go with me? Or maybe it's not you. Maybe you've heard a friend say it. You found this destination and you've watched the videos, you've imagined yourself sitting on that beach, walking those streets, or taking that cruise. And then comes the question, who's going to go with me? Your spouse doesn't want to go, your friends can't get the time off, your sister says maybe next year, your kids have their own lives. So you wait, and 6 months turns into a year becomes 3. And that trip you've been dreaming about is still sitting on your someday list. But what if you've been asking the wrong question? Instead of asking, who can I get to go with me? Maybe the question should be, what's the right way for me to go? Because you don't necessarily need someone to travel with. Sometimes you just need the right trip. Welcome back to Cheryl's Travel Blueprint. I'm Cheryl, a travel advisor, former Spanish teacher, and someone who believes travel can do so much more than give us a break from everyday life. It can introduce you to new places, new people, and sometimes even a new version of yourself. This is episode 2 of the Group Cruise Diaries, where I'm taking some upcoming cruise opportunities and taking you along. So today's conversation isn't really about cruising. It's about something much bigger. It's about waiting. Before we get into it, if you've ever postponed a trip because you didn't have someone to go with you, tell me in the comments, where's the trip you've been waiting to take? I really want to know, and while you're here, subscribe, because we're going to be talking a lot more about traveling confidently, finding your travel community, and making those someday trips actually happen. So here's what I think happens to a lot of us. We grew up with this idea that travel is something we do with somebody. Family vacations, honeymoons, couples trips, girls trips, friends weekends. So when you suddenly find yourself wanting to travel and your usual travel partner isn't available, or you simply don't have one, it can feel strange to say, I'm going anyway. And I understand that, because traveling by yourself can feel intimidating. Who's gonna have dinner with me? Will I feel awkward? What if I don't know anyone? What if everyone is coupled up? And here's a big one. What if I get lonely? So those are legitimate concerns, but there's a big difference between traveling alone and traveling independently. And there's an even bigger difference between traveling independently and being lonely. I think sometimes we make this unnecessarily intimidating because the internet loves labels, things like solo traveler, solo female traveler, digital nomad, adventure traveler. But you don't have to suddenly become a person who backpacks through Europe alone for 3 months. That's not what I'm suggesting. There are lots of ways to travel without bringing someone from home. You can join a tour, you can take a class or a retreat, you can join a group trip, you can take a cruise. You can spend part of the trip independently and part of it with other people. The goal isn't to prove that you can do everything alone. The goal is to stop allowing someone else's availability to determine whether you get to experience what you get to experience from life. And this is where something really interesting happens, because the person you think you need to travel with, they may not actually be the person you're supposed to meet on the trip. Think about that. Some of the best conversations we have while traveling are with people we didn't even know before we left home. That's why choosing the right type of trip matters so much. If you're nervous about traveling without someone you know, I probably wouldn't suggest that your first experience be something that leaves you completely isolated. I'd look for a trip that gives you both community when you want it and independence when you want it. That's one of the reasons cruises can work so well. You can have breakfast with someone, spend the afternoon doing exactly what you want, meet the group for dinner, go see a show together, and the next morning you get to decide all over again. You're not responsible for keeping someone else entertained, and you're not waiting for somebody else to decide what they want to do. There's something incredibly freeing about that. And this is actually one of the reasons I continue to create group travel opportunities. I know there are people who want to travel, they're ready to travel, but the one thing holding them back is that they don't have someone to go with. And that's where the right group can completely change the equation. My next group opportunity is coming up in April, and we'll be sailing with Virgin Voyages. And if you've been sitting there thinking, I'd love to do something like that, but I don't have anybody to go with, I want you to know something. You don't need to bring your own group. That's the whole point. When I planned this trip, I didn't want it to be a situation where everybody had to move around together all day long. That's not my idea of a vacation. I want people to have freedom. If you want to hang out with the group, wonderful. If you want to spend a couple of hours relaxing by yourself, do it. If you meet somebody on board and decide to grab lunch together, that is wonderful. And if you want to go back to your cabin and take a nap, that's great too. The group is there to give you built-in community, not a mandatory schedule. And I think that's a really important distinction. So if you've been listening to this and thinking, wait, that actually sounds like something I could do, then I'd love to talk to you. If this sounds like you, I've put a link below where you can schedule a chat, and we can talk about the April cruise that's coming up, what it's like to join a group when you don't already know everyone, and whether this particular group trip feels right for you. And if April isn't right for you, stay connected, because this isn't going to be the last opportunity to travel with us. And yes, you absolutely can join us even if you don't have someone to come with you. I've put a link in the description where you can schedule a quick conversation with me and ask me the questions you're afraid are silly. Tell me you're nervous, or tell me that you've never cruised before. You can tell me you've never traveled without someone you know. That's exactly what the conversation is for. But whether you join this particular group trip or not, I want you to think about something. What's on your someday list? Is it Spain, Italy, a Caribbean cruise, Paris, Alaska? Maybe it's somewhere completely different. Now ask yourself, what exactly am I waiting for? Because sometimes we say we're waiting for someone to travel with, when what we're really waiting for is permission. Permission to spend the money, permission to take the time, or to do something completely for ourselves. To go, even if nobody else understands why it's important to us. And you might be waiting for permission that no one is ever going to give you. There will always be reasons to wait. Someone can't get off work, someone doesn't have the money, or somebody else doesn't like cruises or doesn't want to fly. Someone else doesn't want to go where you want to go, and that's okay, they don't have to. But their no doesn't automatically have to become your no, because I would hate for you to wake up 5 years from now still talking about the place you were going to visit someday. So here's my challenge for you. Go down into the comments and finish this sentence. If I stopped waiting, I would go to... I can't wait to see your answers. And if you're thinking that our next group cruise might be your opportunity to stop waiting, schedule a chat with me using the link below. We'll talk about the trip, I'll answer your questions, and we'll see whether it's right for you. No pressure. And if you're enjoying the Group Cruise Diaries, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, because we're going all the way from planning to packing to embarkation, and eventually I'm going to take you on board with us. And in the next episode, I want to answer another question I hear all the time. But what if I join a group trip and I don't know anybody? Because walking into a group of strangers can be intimidating, but those strangers might be one of the best parts of your trip. We'll talk about that the next time. Until then, remember, you don't have to wait for somebody else to be ready to start creating the experiences that you've been dreaming about.